If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribing will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Level Up Your Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me in person, I have Josh. And yes, I am back, at least for today. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm doing fantastic. It is great to see you again, Aaron. How has Fatherhood Times 2 been treating you?
It's been going pretty good. Obviously, more than anyone, as we just experienced.
Yes.
What it's like to have multiple kids, and just have kids in general wanting you, needing your attention, or just there to bug you when they need to be there. So
Yeah, it's pretty much nonstop. And yours are still tiny, so that's great.
yeah, mine are still little itty bitty babies. Yours are much more grown adults. They know how to push your buttons a little bit better than mine do.
Oh man, they ever. It was a little, I know for most of our listeners, you've only been gone for a couple of weeks. You've been out for a while. Oh, I don't think we've done a recording together since I don't know, 2-3 months.
Yeah, I mean, all the recordings that had me in it were from before July. So, my son was born the beginning of July, and so he's still very, very young. Thankfully, he's beginning to bless us with some longer stretches of sleep. So it makes it possible to do something at night and feel like an adult for an hour or two.
Yeah. Well, I did try and reach out, and I was able to get a couple people to come in and speak with me about the subject. And it took a little bit of effort to get people involved, which was surprising because, everybody I talked to had a lot to talk about when you actually got them to do it.
I think the commitment of sitting down in front of the microphone is a little bit more daunting than a lot of people want to make it out to be. Again, we're just sort of having a conversation here, just sort of popping up out of nowhere, So It's just
Maybe if they were only there for a short period of time or an event, it would just be easier for them. Like those pop-up stores you get over the holidays.
Yeah, and as we're approaching the spooky season, as everyone
Is it that time already?
It's that time already. We're nearing it quickly. We're talking about some pop-up Spirit Halloween stores. They show up everywhere.
They do. Anytime a store closes down, it pops right up. I have yet to check out if that one that went into the old sewing supply store is a permanent location or not, but the sign sure looks permanent.
It really wouldn't fit into the lore that we're about to dive into here as we decide to talk about a Let's Make a One-Shot pop-up Spirit Halloween store.
I don't know. It could. Okay, so first thing back, let's make a one-shot. Let's get back into it. Get into the swing of things. Do something a little bit more freeform.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so obviously with our Let's Make a One-Shots, we always start with the hook. So what are you thinking for the hook in your pop-up Spirit Halloween store?
The thing that I thought of when I was, I wrote this down as a joke, like, pop-up Spirit Halloween stores. But I'm thinking fantasy setting. I'm thinking, like Wizard goes and does some astral projecting and comes back and something is set up a Spirit Halloween store in his body.
Oh, okay, interesting. So like it's an internal conflict in your
Yeah. Like it's an actual spirit inhabiting him for the season because he was out of his body for a period of time.
I was thinking of it more of the quintessential like horror thing, like every store around you is becoming a Spirit Halloween store. It's
Ah,
like almost like you can't like your grocery store suddenly becomes a Spirit Halloween store. So, something to that effect. And what's going on that's making this kind of hinkiness, and also like what's the draw?
yeah, I could see. Um, well, once again, we try to like find a middle ground.
These are going to be two
Um,
hard ones to draw ground on.
I'm going to work on it here.
Yeah.
It's not just a wizard; it's all of your neighbors, like just the random people in the street, are going to sleep and waking up as Spirit Halloween stores. Like everybody, like just random people, like, and they start talking to you about selling kitschy crap for Halloween, or they've got some sort of vacant look in their eyes, and uh, you know, maybe the party or somebody comes to them like uh, from a séance or like uh, a seer, and is like, all these spirits are calling for me. They can't get back into their bodies because of the spirits of Halloween. Spirit Halloween stores.
Radar Source Friday. Um, uh, yeah, no. Let's see here. So everyone's having spirit Halloween stores, or spirits inhabit their bodies that are popping up these spirit Halloween stores. And so
That's not here.
clearly, okay. So let's run with that. Let's run with the combination of the two. So we have the hijinks of a wizard who went astral projecting, and now everybody is being afflicted by having spirit Halloween stores pop up with it.
Yeah. So obviously for genre and setting, you gotta go like either mid fantasy, not like high like old school fantasy, but it could be like more of a modern fantasy. Maybe like, I don't know, New England style Ichabod Crane,
Yeah,
but
I mean
with wizards.
it could sit in any genre where you want to have a you incorporate a wizard or somebody who's doing witchcraft or something um similar. Obviously, I think as you get more modern, I think if you want it to be more campy, you probably make it more modern. If you want it to be maybe more, I don't know, a little bit more dark, a little bit more ominous, make it a little bit earlier,
Hmm.
fantasy kind of settings. Even in fantasy, I feel like it can get kind of campy. The whole kind of premise is a little campy, but at the same time, I feel like you could probably add more horror elements if you want in a, like what you mentioned, like a turn of the century kind of New England or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you could go either way. You could go like the Tim Burton style of Headless Horseman, or you could go the Mr. Toad and the Adventures of Mr. Toad and Ichabod Disney style, campy. So it can go either way. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You could do it fantasy, even more modern genres, something like the Dresden novels. That modern wizard
Hmm.
sort of thing. So yeah, Um, so any fantasy genre would work as long as you've got spirits and wizards.
Yeah, again, your setting is going to be some sort of town, suburbia, something of that sort of nature. A lot of people who would generally be truly NPCs within your game are being afflicted by this curse. Uh, so then we talk to the NPCs themselves. Now, obviously, we've talked about it before. You can go big, you can go small, but let's talk about the important ones. So clearly, you have to talk about the wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the
Yes.
wizard is a key person within this. Um,
So-
you probably want to have somebody who is knowledgeable enough to be able to move you forward. Maybe somebody who uh, is adjacent to the wizard. If you're in a modern time, like a reporter, or a magic enthusiast, somebody who can kind of guide the players, because the wizard might likely end up being the villain. Haven't figured that out yet. but we don't know yet. The wizard might be more apprehensive because he's the one who sort of botched everything with his astral projection.
Yeah, you want a seer or a reporter or a wise woman or, some old crone or somebody who knows what's going on but can't fix it themselves.
Yeah. And then I would probably also put together a generic step of NPCs that maybe probably minimum two, probably between 2 to 4 of NPCs that are sort of interchangeable. They're blank faces. You can put them on anybody that you'd like, but they're going to be the kind of the stepping stone pieces that get you through the story itself. Again, because we're in a one-shot territory here, you don't want to make it too complicated, but you want them to be able to kind of drive the clues that, or drive the narrative that you want players to seek to be able to achieve the ends of your game.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've already covered the sort of introduction. Is that your players, whatever they're doing, they're approached by some seer or crone or reporter or whatever who says that this is happening.
Yeah, they've tracked it down. They claim that some wizard who's now in the town has done this thing. They don't know how they did it, but now everybody's afflicted by these pop-up spirit Halloween stores within them, and they're asking you to help.
Yeah. And I think they should be introduced to, one or two of the NPCs that have been taken over. And the question is are they just selling stuff, or are they more like mindlessly creating trinkets and stuff, like that they're painting crows on things and putting up fake spider webs everywhere.
Yeah, I would almost say is the story goes on and you go deeper and deeper, have the people afflicted become more committed to the actions that they're doing in terms of selling and becoming truly the spirit Halloween store. Like that is their embodiment. So their personalities shift from, this is Tom NPC and he was a blacksmith and yada yada. And now as the story goes on, he's becoming more and more the spirit Halloween store.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes from
he's lost his craft.
lost his craft. Yeah, he starts making things, as a blacksmith, and slowly they turn into plastic amalgamations of what they used to be. He was making actual knives at his forge, and now he's making real big plastic ones that are covered in red paint.
Yeah, or he's actually creating the actual weapons, or he creates a golem or something out of this. You can do a lot of really fun things, which can become the antagonist later on, like the creations of the people who are creating the Spirit Halloween store. It starts off kitschy like an actual Spirit Halloween store, and it turns into that kind of terrifying horror as people are creating monstrosities that are now taking over and starting to attack and afflict the town. So
what just popped in my head when you're saying this is
Spirit Halloween
you talk
store?
about yeah, exactly, it popped in my head. No, there was an episode of Buffy, I think second season, where there was a wizard came to town and opened up a Halloween store, and people put on their costumes, and then for Halloween they became their costumes. So you could still do something like that also in this whole thing, is that these spirit Halloween stores that are popping up inside of these people, their creations are sort of leeching influence out into the real world, and Yeah, you could lean real heavy into the horror influence here in that it goes from very kitschy, you're right, into something that's definitely not cool and, can get like little kids in murderer costumes or like witches and stuff like that, and suddenly they're shooting fireballs and stringing people up with hooks.
Yeah, because it's the spirits that are inhabiting these people that are forcing them to do these things.
Hmm.
And so by creating the Halloween items, so to speak. So like when they create the big werewolf, statue that
Hmm.
roars, at first it's kind of that animatronic type thing. It actually is just doing like the fake roaring and they're trying to sell it to you. But as time goes on, the spirits leach out into it, and then it becomes an actual werewolf.
Yeah, excellent. So then, uh, the puzzle really is trying to find out where are these spirits coming from.
Yeah, I think that's really what's you're gonna try to figure out by talking to the people, by understanding maybe their movements, their interactions, uh, adjacent to the wizard. You're going to figure out maybe a common thread of a place that they went to or something that they touched that has now infected them with the spirits that are doing this.
Hmm. Yeah, you could have various people around the town had been visited by the wizard collecting supplies for his astral projecting. Maybe he got some iron stakes from the blacksmith. Maybe he got some spices from the local spice merchant, and maybe a glass from the glass lord for like some sort of honing crystal. You can come up with a couple of different reagents that the wizard would have needed for um, this ritual. And because these things were created by these people originally, when the wizard crossed over and opened up this bridge, those are the people that were then uh, seen by these spirit Halloweens as artisans that it could use.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like that's a totally that helps you find the puzzle. Like that's the key. You're gonna have people all as you question them, they're all going to talk about that ritual and where they were, and that's how you're going to be able to connect the dots. Like, okay, the problem originated here, and I need to focus on how to stop that. So, like, if you separate this into multiple acts, the first act is you gathering that information, talking to all the people, maybe trying to interrogate the wizard, and you know second act is you going to the location. Third act is you confronting your evil thing and undoing the problem. And again, that's sort of how a lot of one shots work. They move quick. You don't
Mhm.
want there to be. You don't need there to be 7 hours of interrogation to figure out how to figure this out. Like, you should start getting a hunch after you talk to the first two people. Like everyone's talking about this location or this ritual. Like, okay, it's time to.
Yeah. So you look and see some of the stuff they've got, and well, they've got some of the normal stuff, but it looks like they've been also working on magical reagents. And then the next person's doing the same thing. You're like, okay, well, let's look at some receipts here. And there's a local wizard that's in there, and you're like, well, we should probably take a look at the local wizard. And then you've got your setback. I think that's when things stop being campy and start being creepy. Uh,
Yeah, I think that's a perfect time. Like you go from you piece it together. You're at X person's location as you kind of piece it together, and one of the large creepy creatures that they've designed or created comes to life. That's your first fight. That's your setback. Now you're fighting the creations of these people. Are they
yeah.
embodied knives flying around? Like, whatever it might be. Yeah.
And so they've got to then make their way over to that wizard's tower while fighting, um, you know, new werewolves and avoiding zombies and stuff like that because I mean you can't kill these things. They're probably real people in there.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you
you're not
can
just
really.
murdering citizens, right?
Yes, you can only debilitate and stop these things. You can't actually, straight up murder your citizenry.
Ooh, that sounds fun. So the monsters in the street are real people and shouldn't be murdered, even though they're attacking you. I think that's, obviously KYP. If your party is a bunch of murder hobos, well, they're just gonna throw whatever you can at them. But if they're like, goody good shoes, then
If they're goody good shoes, make it that the people are in costume and now are inhabited by these like terrible creatures that are doing evil. So whether that be werewolves, vampires, whatever it might be, then it's well that's you know NPC A or what give him a name, and he's actually a person, like
yeah.
and
If
and
this
and
was
if
an
if you
ongoing
inflict
game,
yeah, and if you inflict harm upon them, have them cry out in their original NPC voice that they're in pain.
ooh,
Even
yeah.
though even though they're like again, you're if you're going to try to do morality against your players, and you've assessed KYP, your players won't kill humans or won't kill people that they know or shouldn't kill, that aren't bad people, then have them be people in the costumes that are now possessed by the spirits of the costumes, and they're running around. So any pain inflicted upon them becomes pain inflicted upon the person. But if it's a bunch of murder hobos, like Josh said, then then they're all golems. They're all animatronic things. So yes, they can just be murdered wholesale.
I think a really fun scene, if you're, willing to lean into it, is, you drop this into an already existing game as sort of a one shot for the Halloween season. You could have one of these big creatures, that you recognize the person inside of it and you can see them attacking you, but they've got tears in their eyes. They are terrified and they can't stop themselves from fighting you.
Yeah.
So, oh, that could be a lot of fun.
Yes. No. There's a lot of ways that you can play some fun like again horror and morality within the whole thing, where you put moral quandaries. How do we stop this? And you also it drives, if your players are driven by the humanistic side of that, which is like people being harmed, we need to protect those people. Like it can drive them to the end of your game much harder and much faster.
Yeah. So, climax then. I'm
um
assuming you come across the wizard's ritual and either have to stop it or have to dive inside of it and stop the spirits.
yeah, so again, we typically, at this point within the game, you should have had a bunch of combat. Okay. The game should have become combat heavy as the setback and the kind of the twist happens there. And no matter how the players are resolving that combat, whether it be destroying the creatures or subduing the creatures or trying to avoid the creatures, when you get here, I always like the big fight, but because you've been having so many fights, this
Mhm.
one maybe isn't the big fight. Maybe there's something else to it. Maybe it's a little bit more, uh, puzzled out in terms of ways to solve it. Maybe you try to lean on a different aspect to kind of solve the problem here. I'm sure there is going to be a level of combat happening within this, but the ultimate like end to this is it's a ritual. So you can't fight a ritual. You can only fight the creatures that are surrounding the ritual. The ritual itself needs to be undone. Okay, and you can make it really clear like what that thing is. Maybe it's a carved statue that players have to go um, you know, destroy or remove or whatever it might be, but it's being guarded by all these other spirits. So you're still in combat, but you're not fighting against like this big bad evil. You're already fighting against all these things that are trying to stop you from taking care of that.
Yeah, maybe you come across, you come to the wizard's sanctum, and you can see the wizard there in the center, surrounded by all these things, eyes glowing, mouth agape, hands at his sides, but there's layers and layers of magic that you can see swirling around him. And over there on his workbench, his book is opened up to this summoning circle, and you realize that it's wrong. He put it together wrong, and then you've got to go through and disassemble the different spheres of magic to get to where that wizard is and knock him out of the spell to stop the summoning. All the while, those spirits are coming after you. Now, less of the people from around, but now they're, the pure spirits. And that way they can be, minion level attacks, but a constant source of trouble.
Yeah, no, I like that. Again, do some way to stop the ritual that is being performed that doesn't involve just fighting some big baddie. Now, again, if you prefer, your players love combat, KYP, know your players, just make it like a big spirit that you fight at the end and that undoes
Heck,
the ritual.
you finally get through to the wizard. He's in the center there. You've dropped the last shield, and your players are like, gearing up for that big fight. Yeah, throw it at him.
Yeah.
Maybe
again,
maybe you should
don't
have some stats for the giant spirit wizard.
We're suggesting within the one shot we're designing here, do it something more where they have to do something to stop the ritual while avoiding their untimely demise as well. So, and so obviously your players are going to stop the ritual because it's a good one shot. We're gonna see it to the end here. So we get to the resolution, kind of what comes next. And actually, as I was thinking of this, if it was like a statue or something that you had to displace from the ritual, you do it, the ritual stops, everybody goes, the spirits dissipate, the wizard exits his trance. He would have gotten away for it if it wasn't for those meddling kids. But then what you realize is that the artifact or whatever you did to remove from the circle or to stop the ritual, it can't be destroyed. So you're gonna bury it like Jumanji, and then dun, 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 it calls the next person, and that's how you get to Pop-Up Spirit Halloween Store V2.
Yeah, yeah. The nightmare before the next holiday, whatever that happens to be. A turkey too far? I don't know. I got nothing. The artifact that's being used, so there would be. That's excellent. So even if you've got those spheres of magic surrounding the wizard who's all agape in the middle, maybe his arms are to his side. He's holding a small spirit statue in his hands, and that's what that's the statue. It's a little 2-foot doll. Wants to be your buddy. It's wearing overalls. No, face is all carved up. Yeah, it could be anything. It could be, you could have some real fun with it. And I think this would be a lot of fun because you've got sort of a little mystery. You've got a little bit of campiness. The players are going around doing interviews, trying to figure out what's going on. And you get to have a lot of fun as they're wandering around, showing, the various Halloween decorations, very much saying that they're decorations. And then as they start to put things together, the Halloween decorations turn, right? And maybe those fake spider webs now are teaming with giant spiders. Maybe you've got, people dressed up in costumes are coming at them. And so that's great. And then we've got the big scene with the wizard. And it's a puzzle fight. Heavy on the puzzle, light on the fight. And but it gives them a sense of accomplishment when they get to that last point and knock the thing out of its hand, because you can go straight from they knock it out of its hand straight into that flavor text as the spirits suddenly dissipate, the air cools down, the electricity that you feel in your fingertips fades away, and yeah, and then like life comes back into the wizard's eyes. This is, oh, how did you find me? I thought I was lost forever. Whatever. He's lying. He did this on purpose. And he'll do it again.
That's why you have the second story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so in kind of the additional review for this, what maps will we need? I am thinking I almost couldn't think of a single map that I'd want for this, besides like a battle board at the end or something, like a simple place that you can if you're gonna you use either do full theater of the mind for your combats, or if you want physical tactical combat, 'cause your players love that, put people down like on just a board that has distance and your creatures on it, because you're not actually probably going to have you're not going to draw up any of these houses or anything like that.
Oh.
The only place that you might want to have a map for is if you're going to have them go to a location to suss out information, or at the time when like the turn happens, like where everything kind of comes against them, if they are in like a shop at the time, that's a good map to have because you could sort of trap them within the shop, and there's sort of a little bit of like panic as you leave the shop. So I like that. I wouldn't, again, the ritual site, you could definitely do a map for that if you really want to, but it's not necessary by any means, again, because it's just a representation of where players are relative to the things that are happening on the map. Now, again, if it is a puzzle that you want them to puzzle out from the map itself, then you're going to show them like a picture, then there's a reason to have a map. But,
But the map doesn't really have to be much of anything other than just like a picture of a city.
yeah.
If you wanted this to be a little bit longer, you could have something like, the wizard, I said, requires a couple of reagents in order to do his ritual. Let's make it 5 reagents. And where are they on the map? They form a perfect pentagram around the wizard's tower. And, if your players can see the spots on the map where they are, and they're like, that looks like they're in a star or a pentagram, and then they draw the thing like, what's in the middle? And you're like, that's a wizard's tower. Just, you could do that sort of thing. But do you have to like make it a complicated map? No, you just get like a random town map and just pick 5 buildings around a tower.
Star. Yeah, just
to pick a star.
It's that simple. Are there any handouts for this game? I don't even think there's handouts, but
you could. You don't need to. You don't need to, but you absolutely could. You could do, as dumb as it is, you could do like, thank you for shopping at Spirit Halloween. You could go to a Spirit Halloween store and like get some stuff and like, hand things out to your players. That'd be fun. But you could also do, if you wanted to, you could like come up with, so you've got that final battle map for the ritual itself, so that you could, the players can figure out how to fix the things, and then you give them a handout that is the wizard's tome that shows how to fix it. And maybe one guy has to hold on to that and tell the rest of the party how to fix it, because the book can't move and only this person can look at it. So, you've got the one guy sitting over in the corner calling out moves, and then you've got some teamwork. And so the team has to work together to stop the ritual, while other people are protecting the people stopping the ritual.
That's true. Yeah, that could work. I mean, I guess.
I'm stretching here. Stretching.
These are stretches. Again, the map and the handouts feel like stretches. They are definitely not required. But if you really want to do one of them, I would say, have at it. It'll if it warms you up to do some fun things. Also, it could be fun to throw out some Halloween candy or something like that. mobs and bosses. This is where again, I don't, unless you're gonna do like a big spirit at the end, I don't think you need like a boss. But your creatures that you're gonna encounter, you definitely want to roll up like a werewolf. You want to roll up like a generic vampire, something that is gonna, or like a ghoul, something that
Mhm.
is probably gonna attack or assault your players multiple times as they're kind of working their way through it. But I'd roll up some of the bigger ones. I'd like to see like like a werewolf. I'd like to see like a vampire, like a skeleton lord or something like that. Like things that you would see like somebody dressed up in like a true like grim reaper outfit and just like
Ooh, yeah.
even like
Little
there's
demons.
a lot of good ones that you could have rolled up there, but like I'd probably pick like four of your favorite kind of monsters that you'd want to have out there and have them be your thing, and then have like a generic set of like ghouls that a lot of people are dressed up as ghouls because they couldn't afford one of the really sweet costumes.
Yeah, I think that's good. Um, I think we've got this whole thing down. Yeah, get some candy, give it to your players. Players love candy. It's better than XP.
Yeah, it's better.
It's not as good as Milestone, but it's better than XP.
Yeah. um. Yeah. No, do you have anything else you want to add to the pop-up Spirit Halloween store?
Um, Not specifically this, but I have been running Cairn with my Tuesday group. Um, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I think that it's a really nice system for one shots because you don't have levels, because it is very quick to get into. And you don't really have to worry about, people with game breaking magic and stuff like that screwing things up. And so we've been doing that as, sort of the in between sessions, and they are having a blast. So I think I might start incorporating some of these, and we just have to make sure that the episode comes out after I run the session.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll talk about it. You could do the session. We can run the episode, and then you actually could show like how it actually played out.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So
Okay.
that'd be fun. So yeah, that's gonna wrap us up for the week. If you have thoughts on a Let's Make a One Shot, let us know. Level Up Your Gaming Podcast at gmail.com or facebook.com/level up your gaming. Podcast is also on YouTube, so go ahead and smash the like button there. Subscribe, recommend the podcast to a friend, review the podcast, subscribe to the actual podcast feed, all those good things. That's going to wrap us up for the week. So for Josh, I'm Aaron. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.